Welcome to Mind Training and Homatherapy, a podcast that explores ideas to help you live a life that is more purposeful, intentional, and fulfilled. I am your host, Dr. Henry Gregory, and I thank you for tuning in. Hello, folks. Hope everyone is well out there. Lots going on in the world, ever changing, ever challenging, ever facilitating our growth and development. Today, I'd like to talk about Donna. Donna, D-A-A-N. It's a Sanskrit word that represents an aspect of homatherapy or the fivefold path. Donna is sharing of assets in the spirit of humility. It starts with the premise that nothing belongs to any of us. We've all heard it said, you can't leave with anything, but we don't come with anything either. And everything that we get while we're here, we receive it more as caretakers, conduits of the universal forces. And as such, we have an obligation to share what we have with others who might be able to use that. And that's whether that is cash or a material gain, finances, or whether it is service in terms of our attributes, our talents, our skills, our capabilities. But the bottom line is we're all at some level obligated to share, to pass on what was given to us. Matter of fact, one of the laws of the universe says that the more we do that, the more we ensure that we are taken care of, that our needs will be taken care of. Because karmically, we are participating in that cycle as givers, and we will be a part of it as receivers also. So Donna, sharing of assets in the spirit of humility. On a material level, it means passing on some of my wealth, some of my prosperity, some of my sustenance. But passing it on in a spirit of humility. And what that might mean is in secrecy or silence. I mean, if it's going to be a grandiose thing or your name is written on a bulletin board or you're telling everybody what you did, that can feed your ego and take you in the other opposite place. But if we can just, in secret, with humility, just share what we have, that creates a cycle that benefits everybody, the giver and the receiver. And when we give, one of the obligations is to do the best we can to give to someone who is deserved, somebody who is honoring of the gifts, somebody who has a genuine need. Because we don't want to participate in a cycle of enabling or supporting negative or harmful habits. So we want to, as much as possible, give with the understanding that this person can use this and is going to use this in a positive way, because we don't want to become a part of a negative cycle that may be harmful to that person or someone else. So, and when we talk about this giving, we're talking about also giving of ourselves. Each one of us is customized, is made a specific way by the universe in order to share certain gifts, in order to share certain gifts. So I'm good at this, but maybe I'm not so good at this. You're good at that, and maybe you're not so good at that. So imagine if we all started sharing our gifts openly and freely, how much we could do together. In many ways, I think that the priority we have on this planet is we have to get better at working together. We have enough talent, enough strengths, capabilities, even enough visions. We have to get better at working together. Unfortunately, it seems that many of our systems, most of our systems in our society, excuse my language, are not people friendly. They don't actually help people to actualize their potential. They may do a check off here or there. They may create their appearance and, or do the minimum. But the bottom line becomes finances and power, and people get lost in the shuffle. And we're seeing more and more that as folks more and more struggling with depression, anxiety, acting out toward one another. And all of that at some level is about people feeling unfulfilled, inadequate, unheard. So when we talk about Donna, we're saying that everybody has something to give. And one way when we actualize that, we begin to get clear about our purpose and mission in life. We begin to get clear about what our contribution is, and we feel better, we feel more valued because, again, we have a contribution to make. So when we are doing Donna, doing service, it helps us to know ourselves at a deeper level and appreciate ourselves more, and thereby be less vulnerable to depression and other energies that may pull us into negative places and behaviors. So when we are of service, it helps us to understand our purpose. It helps us to understand our mission in life. And it doesn't have to be something grandiose, that that you're serving by being president or whatever. No, sometimes the smallest things, we say random acts of kindness, a smile, a bit of change to someone, a bit of encouragement to someone, just some support or empathy, compassion. Any of those can be service. Any of those can be service. And of course, on a larger scale, many folks volunteer to formally provide service. And that's also a way of feeling one's power, of giving back, of supporting one's value and worth, and supporting the things that you think are important in the world. No effort is too small or goes unnoticed by the universe. Just imagine, if you will, if all of us were involved in making service a priority, more so than making money or getting a name or getting power or influence. If all of us were in just really valued service as an optimal way of being, that we wouldn't have so many people doing without. We wouldn't have so many folks feeling left out, because we would be collectively using our strengths, our capacities, our creativity to give, to share, because we would understand that it's not ours. It comes through us. And the more we share, the more we have for us and for others too. So it's a way of actualizing our potential. It's a way of improving the condition individually and collectively, and manifesting our higher values and creating the kind of life that we value on this planet. So, what you think, Daryl?
Yeah, I love this topic a lot. I love this topic a lot. And I guess I want to kind of go two places with it. First is I definitely am one who loves to share.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to like gifts and talents and things like that. It makes me feel good, when I'm able to leverage something that I have or something that I'm good at in order to help someone else. That brings me a lot of fulfillment. And sometimes it's interesting because, I use my talents from a business, in a business capacity as well. And sometimes, people look at me funny when money isn't the top priority for me. Of course, I have a family and I have bills just like any other adult. So there are things that I have to take care of. So I need to make sure that that's taken care of. But at the same time, because I feel like, my mission is so much greater than financial, sometimes I try to find ways to strike that balance. Yes, take care of what's necessary, but also make room to share where money isn't on the table, you know. And sometimes that can be challenging. It can definitely be challenging. The other place that I wanted to go with it is I was having a conversation with a friend recently about this friend finds themselves to be someone that constantly puts others before, themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where some people on the other end of the spectrum can struggle. So you have some people that just don't like to share at all. They want to hoard and keep everything to themselves. And then you have others that struggle with finding the balance of giving, but still taking care of themselves at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I find that I'm in a better position to give when I have taken care of myself first, because now I'm giving from, my overflow. It's not me giving to my detriment. I heard a saying once that, give till it helps, not till it hurts, you know. And I think that's something that, some people may struggle with. It's like, I want to be helpful. I want to give, but, you can't at the same time give to the point where you've depleted yourself, you know. And so that's one thing that I've known, some people in my life to struggle with, getting to the point where they're almost like constantly the sacrificial lamb. And I don't really think that that's the intention of what you've been talking about today. So like, so I guess what are your thoughts on that? Like, how can people find that balance between giving, but not to their own, detriment and feeling of depletion?
Yeah. Uh, be still and know.
Mm,
I certainly agree with you. If you're not filling your cup, you don't have anything to give. So self-care becomes a primary part of this cycle. You have to learn to give to yourself. When we don't give to ourselves, or are just trying to hustle other folks all the time, either legally or illegally or whatever, um, that's because we're feeling some hole somewhere. We are feeling some emptiness that needs some work. We're giving more than we can afford to give. Now, everybody has something to give. A wealthy person, a poor person. You know, the person with 10 houses and the person who's homeless. Everybody has something to give. and that's one of the things about this dynamic, because we all, if we're on this planet, we have some value, we have some worth, we have something that we can contribute. Mm. But we need to do it in a way that is healthy. The obligation is to help, so we want to be sure that have a reasonable belief that it's helpful. Um, and we want to give in a way that honors the person and the gift, but not just because we're obsessed with trying to please other people.
Hello.
Not just because we're trying to validate ourselves.
Hello.
We give because we're trying to help, we're trying to share. We see that we're all interconnected and that we are caretakers of the resources that we have. So that's our obligation. But when we're giving more than we have, and when we're not taking care of ourselves, that is, how shall I say, some negative coping that we need to do some work on and try to unpack and see if we can release ourselves from some of those cycles so we can do it with a more open heart, as opposed to feeling compelled and ignoring ourselves in the process.
Absolutely. And I wanted to go back to something that you said because it actually is in line with another conversation that I had recently. And so I was having a discussion with someone about capitalism. And oftentimes when we look at capitalism, we're just looking at those that have the most, so the billionaires in the world. And so we look at them and say, you're selfish, you're a capitalist. But it's like, to your point, everyone has something to give. So
Yeah.
oftentimes we focus on those who we perceive as having the most, as having the biggest obligation to give. But everyone has something to share, and it doesn't have to be, financial. It doesn't have to be monetary. It could be you giving of your time to help someone else. Just being of assistance to someone, that sort of thing. And so we often focus so much on those that we perceive as the most selfish or the most greedy that we don't take the time to look internally and say, well, wait, what am I contributing?
Yes, 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 yes. I was driving down the street last week and come to a place where the squeegee boys are. To those of you who don't know, that's the young men. They're out there. They're cleaning windows for cash. They're asking for money, but they're cleaning car windows. And so when I came to them, and the guy came over to me, it was two or three of them, and asked for some money. I said, "No, I don't have anything." And he said, "Thank you, brother." The young boy gave me some dap. I said, "Oh, okay," because I was really testing him. So I went on, did what I did. But the next time I came down there, I don't know if he knows who I was or not. I made sure I gave him something, because he gave me something the first time. He just gave me some good vibes. He gave me
Good
some
energy.
Yes, just gave me that energy. Yeah. So we all have something. We all have something to give. Mhm.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm really glad that you made it a point to make a note of that, because that's something that we all can walk away and think about. Sometimes we look at our own lives and feel like we don't have very much to offer, but to your point, everyone has something. Even whether it's just your personality, you may have a personality where it's really easy to talk to you. You're a good listener,
Yes.
you
Hmm.
know?
Are you the one who brings some humor to the group?
There you go.
You you're a good listener. You are compassionate. It doesn't have to be something concrete, but all of us have a skill, a capacity, a tendency that is our strength, that feeds our contribution.
Yeah, and I've really, really been leaning into that. It's interesting. for myself being in a field that's very technical, doing video production work and photography and things like that. But what I've realized is that the common thread, no matter what field I was in through my, working life, it was always for me about the connection that I was making with people, and it
Mm,
had very little to do with the tools or with the genre, whatever the skill set was, the technical skill set. And so sometimes when I talk to some of my buddies who are in the same field, they kind of don't know how to receive the fact that I don't take the technical stuff as seriously as they do. And you've been around me, so I care about the technical stuff. I'm always trying new things. But
mhm,
when it comes down to it, what has become most meaningful to me is the experience that I'm giving people. And
mm.
so oftentimes, I don't really go back and reflect on what I did wrong or right technically. I'm only talking about the experience. And so I was having a conversation with someone and he said, "Man, I want to see some of the work that you've been doing recently." And I'm like, "Man, I haven't even looked at that stuff." He's like, "What? Like, how do you get better?" And I'm like, "That's just not my focus. Even if it's just in this moment, my focus is the experience that I'm giving people. And I just deal with all the technical stuff and what I may have done well or not so well. I deal with that later because what's most important to me is what I'm giving in this particular moment. Everything else is secondary." And it's like he didn't know how to, he couldn't understand it, but that's what's
And you,
important to me.
and you pass it through you. You don't take it like this is what I'm doing for somebody else. You pass it through you. And what that does, that lowers the level of stress and anxiety. You say, this isn't mine. This is just what I've been given, and I'm just passing through. So when I say
Yeah.
be still and know, be still so I can read and be in touch with the universal forces that are feeding me, talking to me, reinforcing, validating all the time, so I can allow that to come through me in my interactions with other folks.
Right.
Yeah. And when we surrender like that, that takes a lot of the stress away. That takes a lot of the anxiety, the angst away when we just say, not my will, but thy will be done.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this thing of Donna. So we're gonna make this a new, well, it's actually old, world priority. Just imagine how much this would change governments and interactions in large systems and families and small. I mean, there's always been some of us doing this from time to time. Just a vision of a wild situation where everybody was doing it would really take us to another place. But every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And like I say, it's for those that you're giving to, but it's also for those that are doing the giving, because it frees us up. It helps us to feel validated, to have some sense of purpose, to actualize who and how we really are. So my encouragement for you folks out there, practice some, try some of this as an experiment and see where it takes you. How does it help the people that you share with? And how does it help you? What feelings does it bring? What does it reinforce in you? We all have gifts. We all have power. And when we use those, it helps us to ascend to higher consciousness, and it helps us to approach that state called happiness. Happiness. So blessings to you all, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Take care of yourselves, and see you soon.